Before you start this video at large, thank you to Thibaut, Commander WB, Michael, Matthias, Jack, Alan, Indira, and Jesper for their support on Patreon. I hope you guys enjoy the video. And an immense thank you to Halo Burner, Keegan, and Eclipse for their support on Patreon. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hello everybody, today we're going to make it so we can alert our AI character to sounds. So when you walk by them, or when you swing a sword next to them, or shoot an arrow or a fireball or something. So let's go to the states first. Let's make a new state. I'm going to call mine Investigate Sound State. This is basically what's going to be called if they're going to be on their way to a noise or wherever they heard a noise. So let's drop in our namespace, delete the start and update functionality as is per tradition. I'm going to make this inherit from AI state. So it's going to get a bunch of these extra functions. We can override reset state flags, and we have tick, where we're going to call our logic, also switch state, but we don't need to change that. So let's start by overriding the tick, and then we can override the reset state flags. Now we're going to have a few flags here, two mainly, I guess three if you count the position, but I wouldn't really call it a flag, but it still needs to be reset nonetheless. So we could say serializable field bool destination set, defaultly is equal to false, and then we're going to do one for bool serializable field destination reached. So the reason why we're going to keep track of reach too is if you want the character to say stand around there and idle or do some other action once they've reached the destination before switching state, we can just keep track of it there. So header position, and I'm going to make a serializable field. We're going to make a vector of 3 here, and this is going to be the position of the sound, basically the source of wherever the sound is. So we're going to be walking towards. And I'm going to make this public actually because we do need to set this later on from the AI character combat manager. So I am going to, under reset state flags here, just set the nav mesh agent to false whenever we leave, and also the destination reached and destination set equal to false. All right, cool. Now right below tick, we can start writing some logic. We're going to say if the AI character is performing an action, of course, return. We don't want to attempt to do anything if they're already in some action. We're going to say return this because we are in a state. Let's get rid of the default return base so we can actually run code under here. We're going to say AI character combat manager find a target via line of sight, because while you're in this state, you still want to be looking for targets while you're on your way to the destination of the sound. So we're going to say if the AI character current target does not equal null, this is from the AI character combat manager, we're going to simply return pursue target state by saying return switch state AI character pursue target. Basically, if you find a target while you're on the way to the sound, don't continue going towards the sound. We want to instead pursue that target. We're going to say if the destination is not set, well, we know we haven't actually made our way to it yet. So just to give it a bit of polish, we're going to say destination set is equal to true, but we're also going to make our character pivot towards the direction of the sound. So initially, when they hear the sound, before they start moving, they're just going to basically turn around and face it, and then make their way towards it. So we can do this by saying AI character combat manager, and let's call a function that doesn't exist yet called pivot towards. We have target now. We can actually just copy all of this, and we can change the keyword from target to position. So then instead of basically just pivoting towards our current target, we're going to pass a vector 3 for the position. And we can actually just reuse everything here, but what we're going to do is make local variables, which will override the usage of viewable angle. And we're going to make a vector 3 target direction. We're going to say that's equal to the position minus the AI character transform.position. And then we're going to make a local float for viewable angle, which will override the viewable angle on this script. And then we're going to say world utility manager.instance.get angle of target, and we're going to pass the AI character transform and the position that we passed to this function. Now, if I click this, you can see it highlights this, indicating that we're using the local variable instead of the variable in the script. And we can do the same too for target's direction. We can just add an S there, and if I click that, you can see we're using this local variable right here. All right, cool. Now we can just pass, again, the AI character and the position of the sound, and we have a way to pivot towards whatever sound position we're sending. Now, on reset action flags, you can also reset the position of the sound to vector 3 as 0 if you want, but every time we call this, we're going to give it a new position anyway. But just to keep it all uniform, I'm going to reset it there. Next, we're going to say AI character.navmeshagent.enable is equal to true, and then we're going to check if the destination is reachable. We're going to do that by saying is destination reachable. This does not exist yet, but we're going to make a function on the base class state to determine if a point on the nav mesh is in fact reachable. So we can go over and do this by saying using unityengine.ai. And then right under reset state flags, I'm going to make a new function, a public virtual void for is destination reachable. And that should be a bool, actually not a void. It's my bad. I'll correct that in a moment. We're going to pass an AI character manager. Call this AI character. And we're going to make it require a destination under a variable type of vector3. So we're basically going to check the nav mesh to see if we can actually walk to this position. We're going to do that by saying AI character dot nav mesh agent dot enabled is equal to true, not false. Sorry, it's my bad. Can erase that. There we go. And then we're going to say nav mesh path. Then we're going to say nav mesh path is equal to new nav mesh path. Now, after we have this path, we're going to say if AI character dot nav mesh agent dot calculate path, and we're going to pass the destination, and we're going to pass the new path we just made, and then we're going to say and the nav mesh path dot status is equal to nav mesh. Where is that flag? Nav mesh path, and we're looking for path complete. So basically, if we can get to the whole end of this path, return true, otherwise return false. This just means that if we pass this, and it is true, the whole path is reachable. Okay, so now we have a way to see if our destination is reachable. So we can go back here and we can pass the AI character, and we can pass the destination of the sound. So position of sound, why is this giving me an error? Oh, I referenced the boss manager on accident. Yes, I did. AI character manager, not boss manager. So we can use this for all of the AI character classes. All right, cool. So if the position is not reachable, we're going to make a partial path. Basically, we're going to get as close as we can to it, if that's possible. And then we're just going to get the AI to walk there. So for example, we're going to say using Unity Engine AI, if your AI heard a sound that was like close to a gap, they would just walk as close to the gap as they could to check it out. And we're going to do this by saying we're going to make a nav mesh hit variable. We're going to call it hit. And we're going to say if nav mesh dot sample position, and we're going to pass the position of the sound out hit. And now the max distance is how close you want to be to that area. So 2 meters, we're going to go within 2 meters of the sound if we can. And we're going to say navmesh.all areas. So then we're going to make a path. We're going to call it partial path by creating a navmesh path variable. We're going to say this is equal to a new navmesh path. And again, that 2 just means within how much of that area, if we can't get there, do you want to check? I'm checking within 2 meters. You can check within 5 if you want, or 10. We're going to say AI character.navmeshagent.calculate path. We're going to say hit.position, and we're going to pass the partial path. Then we're going to say AI character.navmeshagent.set path, and we're going to set the partial path. Now, otherwise, if the destination is reachable, we're just going to use the destination that we pass. And we can just basically copy everything we just wrote, but we're going to change the keyword partial path to path. So we're going to say navmesh path, and then we're going to change partial path here to path, and we're not going to pass the hit position because that doesn't exist in this context. We're simply going to pass the position of the sound on the state. Okay, very cool. Now, this should be working, I think. We still do a couple more things, though. We're just going to say AI character combat manager rotate towards our navmesh agent, because the navmesh agent is, again, rotating to guide our character and how they're walking. And we can keep track of the distance also from the destination by making a local float. Distance from destination is equal to vector3.distance. And we pass our AI character.transform.position and our position of sound. And then also, if you actually want to say if you're within the stopping distance of the navmesh agent, I believe that's what we use. I think we use that in our pursue target as well. So we're going to say if the distance from the destination is less than or equal to the navmesh agent's stopping distance, we know we have arrived. So then we can set has reached destination equal to true. And at this point, you can do whatever you want. You can default to the AI back to the idle state. You can kind of have them linger for a moment and then kind of wait around and investigate for a few seconds, then go back. Or you can have them just permanently stay there. It's entirely up to you and how you want to set this up. Okay, so I'm going to save this. And then right below this, I'm going to say if destination has been reached, we're going to switch state, AI character, and then we're going to pass the idle state. And I'm going to add a timer to this in a moment, so they're going to investigate for a moment, but I just want to make sure this works first. So then we're going to say return this, and I'm going to jump over to the idle state. I'm going to yoink the create asset up here and paste on the investigate sound state. I'm going to change it to investigate sound. And now we're going to make this in a moment, going to the data, AI states, undead, and I'm going to create a new AI state, and we're going to go to investigate sound. I'm going to call this undead investigate sound state. Now again, this is pretty uniform, but I like giving my AI different states in case you want to change settings for obviously that specific AI. So I would give Dirk his own, and I would give any other character their own if you have multiple settings on this state. So then go on network spawn, and we're going to say investigate sound is equal to instantiate investigate sound. Make a local variable here, or a variable on the script rather, for investigate sound, just like you do with all the other states, idle, pursue target, etc. Now let's go over into the AI character manager and drop in that state under the variable, and then we're going to go to idle state, and I'm going to go here because in the future, probably in the next video, I'm going to add a setting for sleeping and awaking and ambushing. So I like putting the will investigate sound under sleep options. Why? Why not the AI character combat manager? Well, let's say if you have 3 AI that are the same, but you want to make one be in some kind of a deep sleep and you want them to ignore sound, but you want others of that same AI to not ignore sound, you can just put on the idle state. So you can have the same AI that will act different depending on which state they have. So now over here on the AI character combat manager, let's make a public virtual void alert character to sound, virtual in case you want to override on a different AI to make it slightly different. And we're going to make this require the position of the sound, of course. And then we're going to say if the AI character dot is not owner, we're going to return because only the server should be doing any of these AI actions. Then we're going to say if AI character is dead dot value, return. We don't want them to attempt to investigate sound if they're already dead. Then we're going to say if AI character dot idle is equal to null, return. If for some reason you don't have an idle state, you can't check to see if we're going to investigate, so return. And then we're going to say if the AI character dot investigate sound state is equal to null, likewise just return. And lastly, if we will not investigate the sound, return. All right, cool. Now, how are we going to do this? So if you do have sleeping implemented or you want to take a shot at it on your own, if your AI is sleeping, here's where you want to wake them up. Next, we're going to say AI character dot investigate sound, as in the state dot position of sound equals the position of sound we're passing to this function. And then we're going to say AI character. Let's save this first. Let's go down to the AI character manager and let's make the current state public because we have to induce a state switch ourselves from here outside of the state. So we have to basically force the AI to switch to. So let's also make AI switch state public, not protected. This is under AI state. We have to make them switch to the investigate sound state. So we're going to say AI character current state dot switch state AI character, and we're going to pass the AI character dot investigate sound. I think we're good. Let's save this, and we're going to check it over in a second. Also, handle stand spray can be on update, not on fixed update. That's my bad. Fixed update is called way more, and that is just a waste of memory. I should say it's called way more defaultly. Sometimes it's not called more, but in our case, it is called more if you haven't edited anything in the project regarding that. So let's make a header for debug delete later just because I'm just making sure this works. I'm going to set up the alert to sound. We're going to make a bool for investigate sound, defaultly at false, and we're going to make a serializable field for a vector3 position. And basically under update, we're going to say if investigate sound, we're going to say investigate sound is equal to false, and then we're going to call our alert AI to sound, and we're going to pass our position of sound. So if investigate sound is equal to false, and then we call alert AI to sound, and we pass our position of sound. This is just basically so I can test this in the inspector right now. So I'm going to just hide the mesh renderers for these patrol points. I forgot to say that in the last video. Also, you want to disable the capsule colliders. I forgot to do that too. It's my bad. I'm going to take a random position here and just copy it. So we're going to get the position here of this ruins or this brazier. And I'm going to go down to AI character combat manager, scroll down to my debug function. I'm going to paste the position and flick this. And he is not walking towards the position. Okay, this is because it should not be AI character current state dot switch state. It should actually say AI character current state equals AI character dot current state switch state. Otherwise, we're actually assigning it. That's my bad. Now, if I go back into the game here, do the exact same thing, paste this position, boom. Yes, he does, in fact, walk towards it. So he's making his way over to the position of the sound, which is where I copy from the brazier. You can see here he's in the investigate sound state. So far, so good. Seems to be working as intended. I'm just going to make sure he gets there, and I'll drop back in a second and make sure nothing is broken. Okay, so He didn't. He kept going afterwards. This is because we didn't say return switch state after the destination has been reached. So he never actually went to idle. Make sure you use that keyword return. That's twice now I've forgotten to do that. So now if I go over and paste this position again, I'm just going to make him walk towards this glowing artifact here. Is where I've taken the position from. You can see he is in fact in investigate sound, but when he gets closer to it, he's going to go back to his patrol state. So boom, there he goes. He goes back to idle, which is patrol for him, and now he's going to continue walking around. Now, what if we want him just to sit there for a second? Because when he just immediately walks away, it does look a little bit odd. This is very easily remedied. All we have to do is make a header for investigate, or we'll say investigation timer. And then we can do a serializable field float, and we can say investigate time. Defaultly, we'll say 3, so how long he's going to stand around, do nothing. And then we can say investigate timer. We'll say it's equal to 0. So, really easily enough, under here, when we say if the destination has been reached, we're going to say if the investigation timer is less than the default investigation time, I believe we just called it investigation time, we're going to increment it up by saying investigation timer plus equals time dot delta time. And then lastly, we're going to say else, as in otherwise, if the investigation timer is greater than or equal to it, we're going to return switch state AI character idle, which will make them go back to what they were doing. So this is just basically going to keep track of the time, and then under reset state flags, we're going to make sure we reset the timer by saying investigation timer is equal to 0. Now, let's go in and check this out again. So if I go in here, do the exact same thing, going to fast forward a little bit through the magic of editing, going to make sure this gentleman gets up to this point right here again, and you can see here he's on the investigation. Let's watch his timer. So the investigation timer is at 0. He stops, he gets here, boom, the timer increments 1, 2, 3, and then he goes back to patrolling because that was his idle state mode. Very cool. So that adds a nice bit of life to the AI, but we also still have to set it up when we do specific actions. So let's go to the world sound effect manager. Let's make a function we're going to use a lot. If you're going to be making AI alert to sound a lot, we're going to call it alert nearby characters to sound, vector 3, position of sound, float, range of sound. Okay, what's this going to do? Exactly what it says. We call this, it's going to get a bunch of characters in the area of the sound, and for every character within the area, it's going to attempt to alert them to the sound. Let's go up and say using Unity.net code, because we don't want to call this if we're, again, not the host or the server host. So we're going to say if the network manager.singleton is not the server, then we want to return. Okay, otherwise, we want to make an array of colliders. We're going to call this character collider, or character colliders. We're going to say it's equal to physics.overlapSphere. Guys, future step here. You might want to use a layer here just to save a little bit of memory, so only cast this basically on the characters layer. Entirely up to you. I forgot to do it at this point in the video. And then we're going to check on the for loop here for character colliders. We're going to say for each collider length, or for the array length rather, we're going to go through all these potential character colliders. We're going to get an AI character manager variable equaling to collider.getComponent AI character manager. So we can say equal to character colliders I.getComponent AI character manager. Now we don't want to call this function multiple times if we don't need to. So what we can do is we can make a list. So we can make a list of AI character managers, and we can say characters to alerts, and we can say this is equal to a new list. And then every time we get an AI character, first we're going to check to make sure they're not null. So we're going to say if AI character is null, continue. This means go to the next entry in the list, or the loop rather. Likewise, we're going to say if the characters to alert contains this AI character already, continue. Otherwise, finally add the AI character to the list by saying characters to alert.add AI character. And then lastly, we're just going to do a for loop here, and we're just basically going to iterate through this loop, or this list of characters to alert, and we're going to get each of these characters AI character combat manager, and we're going to alert them to the sound. All right, so we're going to say characters to alert that should be AI character combat manager, because the default character combat manager doesn't have this. You can't alert a player to a sound. We're going to say alert to sound. We're going to pass the position of the sound. Very cool. All right, let's save that. Next, let's go over to our character footstep maker, and you could just put it down here under play footstep sound effect. You could say anywhere down here really, world sound effect manager, and then you would pass we say instance dot alert nearby characters sound. We pass the position of the sound will be transformed dot position, and you can make the range whatever you want, say 2 meters, like so. But Every character who walks will now alert other characters, so we don't want to do that, or maybe you do. I'm going to copy this and remove it from here. We can see we have a play footstep sound effect function. And if we go to our player sound effect manager, we can override that function because it's a virtual function on our character sound effect manager. So we override it, we do the exact same thing, but then we try to alert nearby characters to sound. Now, let's go on the on collision enter and over on the range projectile collider. So we're also going to call world sound effect manager.instance.alert nearby characters to sound. So basically this is when a ranged projectile arrow hits into the ground and makes penetration or into a character. Let's give it a distance of about 3 meters. You can play with that if you want. And then finally on the fireball manager, when it explodes, you can make it 5 to 10 meters if you want to, or however you think, whatever you think makes sense. But under instantiate spell destruction effects, it's quite loud in my game. So I'm going to make it 5. And I think I might even change that to somewhere like 8 or 10 after. So we're going to pass the position of the fireball when it explodes, and then pass the distance that you want it to be heard at. And then I'm going to switch this guy to idle instead of patrol. I'm going to haul him back in the main room. And if we go into the game here now, I'm going to run behind him, and we should alert him. And we are not. So let's see what's up. Alright, so I put some debug logs here under alert characters to sound 1, 2, and 3. We can see where it breaks. Going to go back into the game, and nothing is popping up. Okay, let's just make sure I got the footstep maker on our character, and I do not. So if I drop this on my character's foot and walk around, it should, yes, there you go. He turns around and notices me and hears me. So I'm going to go to the player prefab, and I'm going to add this character footstep maker to both of my character's feet here, and I'm going to save the prefab. I also realized when I was testing, I forgot to actually update the focus point bar when we lose focus points or change our max focus points. So I'm going to do that right now in the player network manager. I'm going to make a function called onFocusPointsChanged. I'm going to pass an int for old FP and new FP. And we're going to say if you are the owner, because otherwise there's no need to do this, we're going to go to the player UI manager. We're going to reference our HUD manager, and we're going to set our new focus points value by referencing our set new focus points value function. We can pass the old and the new, and it will update your focus points bar accordingly. Now we also have to call this, of course, on network spawn. And we have to uncheck it on network despawn. So let's go over to on network spawn. Under the player stats comment, I'm going to say player network manager current focus points on value changed plus equals player network manager, and we're going to say on focus points changed. I'm also going to change check HP to on HP change to keep the naming conventions consistent, because you know by now how much of a stickler I am about that. All right, let's go over to the player network manager, do the same thing, but copy on focus points change it to on max focus points change, and then call set max focus points. And for this one, we're only going to need one value. It's our new max focus points. And then we can delete the old value. And likewise, we have to call this on network spawn and unsubscribe to it from on network despawn. So player network manager, max focus points on value changed, plus equals player network manager on max focus points changed. Copy 2 of these, go down to the on network despawn, and change the plus to a minus so we unsubscribe. Cool, save that. Now let's go back into the game. We're going to test all of our sound methods. This is walking. You can see here I walk behind him. He sees me, turns around, makes the game feel so much better. Like the AI is actually responding to your actions. Very cool. Let's get the bow next. Okay, got the bow. I'm going to aim and shoot an arrow. I think this might be a bit too far. I'm going to have to go a bit closer. Yeah, I'm going to change the distance. 2 is not enough. If I shoot it close to his foot, though, he should turn towards it. Yes, he does. And he takes a step over and looks at it. Very cool. All right, lastly, let's jump over here. I have the fireball. I'm going to throw this up there. Boom. And yeah, he turns towards it, but he can't get to the point. So you see he just does the pivot and he doesn't move. All right, guys, there you go. You have a way now to alert your character to sounds. You can basically call that function wherever you want something to happen. Like, for example, if you're damaging a character with a basic melee slash, you could just do a, you can call that function when you're doing the on damage on the on trigger enter on the melee damage collider. Wherever you see fit, you can do some cool stuff with it too. Like if you have a stealth system and you don't want to call it with every footstep, you could just check to see if the character is basically either not stealthed, or if you only want to make that happen when they're running, you could compare the vertical value of your character on the animator. And if it's over 0.5, you know your character's in a run, then you can call the sound check. Lots of cool things you could do there. I'll leave it to you guys to further expand upon that. But thank you for joining me very much again this weekend, guys. I hope you all have a very lovely weekend. As always, an immense thank you to my patrons. This is because of each and every one of you, the series may continue. So you have my sincerest gratitude. Thank you to everybody who takes the time to like and comment on all the videos. I will see you next week where we'll continue with our new AI stuff.